when you were kind of realizing like I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
how did your friends take that, and how was that
Yeah.
movement?
Oh, like at the start, cause like your friends be like, "Oh, come on, don't
Yeah.
dog the boys. This is that." But I'd be like, I'd always come up with an excuse. I'd be like, "Nah, I got to babysit today. I gotta do
Yeah,
this."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Even though
yeah.
I didn't, I just didn't want
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's genius. I love
yeah,
that, man. Um, oh man, that's amazing. So
yeah,
you then finally slowly
yeah.
get away with that, and then when did you graduate?
In 2017.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So with that happening and you slowly getting away from that,
yeah,
I remember I think around then that's when all that Apex thing was happening,
yeah.
and that's when like it was a lot harder
Uh-huh.
either to stay out of trouble or just to try do anything. That's in general because of what was getting shown on TV and on the news.
Yeah,
How were you, and where were you in your life around that
yeah.
period?
Like around that period of time, I was just trying to get like my life together. I was just playing football. Like I was really enjoying
Like AFL or soccer?
soccer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
call it football.
For the footballers, I know, we call it football.
Oh man, I'm gonna get banned for calling
Yeah.
it. My show's gonna get blacklisted.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
yeah. So you were playing
I
football.
was playing football, not really like hanging out with like those friends that were partying. I'd go to uni,
Yeah.
play football, go home. That's it. Same thing next day.
Yeah. What were you doing at uni?
I was studying sports science
Yeah,
and
yeah.
youth work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I changed topics a lot, but let's go
Yeah.
back to the
Yeah,
let's go back to that Apex
Yeah.
thing. And so you were playing soccer at the time.
yeah,
Did you find it challenging around that time? Because I was working at the time, and
yeah,
where I work, we had like newspapers, and
yeah,
every time I'd start work, I'd just see front page news, and that just made my
Yeah.
whole shift just
yeah,
so much more difficult.
yeah.
How did you deal with it mentally?
Yeah, mentally it was hard to deal with because you were being looked at as as a criminal.
Yeah.
Like they'll like to be like, oh, this guy's black. He's a part of Apex. Is this? Is that?
Yeah.
So just going into shops, like growing up, I never really experienced it.
Yeah.
But like during that time period, I'd always get followed around by security. I was getting pulled up by the cops more often.
Yeah.
And like I'd just be for the rent. Like I'd just be minding my own business stuff.
Yeah.
And they just pull you up. Hey kid, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like they just randomly check me. Like I've been searched so many times. Like I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
It was like hard to deal with, but I just had to just stay positive.
Yeah. And that's cool because I think a lot of people, would have just gotten sick of it and been like, you know what, if you think that I'm going to be stealing, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah,
Just like that kind of
because I had those
reverse
thoughts.
psychology.
I had those thoughts, but I didn't want to give into that.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like, if this is what you want, I'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
And I know that's a stupid way to think of it, but I think just people that are not as mentally strong as you are,
Yeah.
would have fallen into that trap.
Yeah.
But so, playing football, which would have been during the weekdays.
Yeah.
Was it weekdays? You were training on weekdays?
So we train twice a week during weekdays and then game on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else were you doing at that time to avoid, like, who were you hanging out with? Were you hanging out with a lot of people at the same time? Or?
No. At that time, I was like just hanging out with like a small group of friends.
Yeah.
So just probably me, my friend Abdul, who's Somali. He played soccer as well.
Yeah.
And my other mate Raymond. So we'd all just hang out, do our own stuff.
Yeah.
And another guy who I grew up with, Iman. Like I'd see him a
Yeah, I
lot.
remember Iman.
Yeah, shout
Man, shout out to Iman.
Yeah.
Iman, if you listen to this, please, we'll need to hang out. I haven't seen him in years. I think I haven't seen him in
Yeah.
probably like almost 10 years.
Wow, that's a long.
I don't know, probably not that long, but around,
been a
it
while.
feels that long. It feels
Yeah.
like a decade, honestly. But
Yeah.
Iman, if you're watching this,
Yeah.
let's link up. But Iman
Yeah.
was really, because he was older than all of us
He was
growing
old,
up,
yeah.
and he was a wise guy. He was one of the reasons why a lot of us stayed out of trouble, for sure.
He was, yeah.
He looked after us. He really cared for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a lot of, he would he just looked after us and he made sure that we were all straight
Yeah.
and kind of taught us consequences instead of
Yeah.
just telling us what not to do. I
Yeah.
think that was the most important thing about Iman and
Yeah.
just about the way we learned things is we learned through consequences.
Yeah.
And okay, well, this is what's going to happen if you do this. And you go like, oh, well, if that's the case, I don't want to do that then.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are getting taught not to do this.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gets them more curious on why not to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then they end up doing it anyways because oh, well, a no means yes for a 15-year-old
Yeah.
boy.
Mm-hmm.
Anything means a yes for a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But it's good that you had a head on you. Do you reckon having older siblings helped a lot as well?